When you're living in New York, you feel like you're in the center of the world, like the whole world like revolves around New York.
Thinking about moving to this iconic city? Get ready to find out what living here is like and how you can make the most of it.
You're here, so don't stay in your box. There's so many opportunities, so many different things that you could do.
By the way, we're InterNations, the largest community for people who live and work abroad. This video is packed with our members' tips and insights on everything you need to know about moving here. Let's dive in. There are so many reasons why you may move to the city that never sleeps.
So what brought me to New York is actually business opportunities.
So I'm Italian in US, and I grew up in 7 countries, and I've lived and or worked in 14 countries. And I came to New York because as an American, I wanted to know what it's like to work in the US.
Came here temporarily for the MBA. 2 years later, I was here to live for good.
And even if you're a native New Yorker who moves elsewhere, it's the kind of city that stays with you wherever you go.
New York is my home. It will always be my home. There's just no other city in the world like New York.
All right, so what is living in New York really like?
The lifestyle in New York City is very fast-paced. New York moves very fast, and so do the people. So when you move there, you'll also learn how to walk really fast. And if you don't, people might yell at you.
In our annual Expat Insider survey, New York only ranked 40th out of 49 cities for quality of life, which is not a great result. Let's look at what expats and locals love most about living here.
So my favorite things about New York are, besides the bagels, are the wonderful cultural institutions there, the art museums. I just love walking around Manhattan because it's never the same.
You can do whatever you want during the week, right? So you wanna go, I don't know, seeing Broadway today. Tomorrow you can go ice skating. Next day you can eat, some exotic foods.
Diversity of cultures is lived and celebrated.
You will celebrate holidays and festivities from cultures other than your own. And that's what's so cool.
New Yorkers have the reputation of being rude and unfriendly, but it's not true.
I would say this is a huge misconception actually about New Yorkers. I think they're really friendly.
New Yorkers are just very busy, but they're also very willing to help out. So if somebody is looking at their phone trying to figure out where to go, somebody will stop very quickly and say, hey, where are you going? Everybody's getting from point A to point B, but people are actually kind.
And it's a wonderful place for kids and family.
So my kids were raised in New York City. They love the city. They love the opportunity that they have. There's plenty of parks. They did tons of sports. They did tons of music and theater and academic opportunities that came around. And all of this was basically free. So it's a good place to raise kids as long as you don't mind them growing up really fast, which they do here.
Now let's talk about the downsides in New York City related to the urban environment.
It's not a glamorous life in New York necessarily. It is grungy. The subways are grungy. That's the side of New York that you don't see on TV.
Sometimes the crowd is really putting an additional stress for your daily routines.
Densely populated means noisy.
That's one thing you have to be prepared for when moving to New York. Is it's not just loud outside with all the sirens, garbage trucks, but it's also loud inside apartments because walls are thin and you can hear, the next door neighbor's television maybe. I mean, you have to be okay with these things.
If this sounds crazy, don't worry. There are some things you can do to balance it out.
There are so many ways to escape the stresses of the city too, whether you physically leave the city to go to the beach or to go to the mountains, just to relax in Central Park.
Let's now turn to a real highlight, and that's working life. New York ranked very well compared to 49 other global cities, especially in 2 areas. It's second for career prospects and 8th for work culture and satisfaction.
If you are an ambitious person, if you are looking for new limits, if you are really interested in discovering opportunities to build your career, New York City, for me, is the best place to come.
Americans are very focused at their job. So when they start doing a task, they do it beginning to end. And that's a very good point. So they might even be less hours in the office. They get the job done and call it a day. In Brazil, I noticed that people goes back and forth and changes from one task to the other. And in the end of the day, they also get it done, but it demands more working hours to get to the same result.
Don't be surprised if many people are always going the extra mile here.
There are so many talented, really interesting people, and people, a lot of times have they have a day job and then they have a passion project that they're working on the side. And yeah, that's quite the norm, actually. So people ask you what you do, and then they ask you, so what else do you do? And you should say, well, yes, and I'm, writing the next American novel or whatever on the side. But yeah, so people are very ambitious in New York.
One thing to be aware of, though, is how much salary you'll need to aim for.
If you are in the beginning, don't move for New York to less than 100, 150, because it's going to be hard to sustain yourself and to have a comfortable life here.
Work-life balance is also an issue. It's a work hard, play hard kind of place.
Well, I'm a workaholic. The pace of work fits me.
New York City, like a few other cities, can easily cause burnout. So take care of yourself when you come here also, so that you can continue enjoying it.
Another thing that may be on your mind when you think of living in New York is safety. New York ranked 40th out of 49 cities for safety and security. There are some different opinions on this aspect.
When I first moved to New York, it wasn't as safe. It got progressively safer. I can come back home at 3 o'clock in the morning and walk from the subway with no fear at all.
Of course, the main thing is to use common sense.
If you ever feel, for example, uncomfortable when you're in a subway car, please just get off the train and move to another subway car. It's not worth, staying and risking a dangerous situation.
Speaking of the subway, what do people think?
You can really travel and go around everywhere by public transportation. And that's a very, very good and high quality point for this city.
However, New York only ranked 35th for travel and transit worldwide. Lack of cleanliness on the subway seems to be a big issue.
Having a 120-year-old system, even though there's been some upkeep, it costs a lot to keep up. So it's dirty. So that's a downside.
Never go to the empty subway car because that's the one that people avoid for a reason.
Beyond the subway, how do you get around the city?
The network of city bikes is fantastic. I generally commute between biking somewhere and taking the subway and make it part of my commute.
Switching gears now, you may also be wondering about healthcare. New York ranked poorly for healthcare, 48th out of 49 cities.
Health insurance is a little bit complicated topic in the United States. I guess the ideal thing is that your job is covering your health expenses, but in some cases it's something that people have to take care of themselves.
Like many big cities, the cost of living here is a downside.
Periodically, I think, I want to leave New York. It's just too expensive. It's too overstimulating.
You can be very much inspired to spend a lot of money for diverse things.
New York ranked almost last, 48th out of 49 cities for personal finance.
True New Yorkers and also newcomers to the city can just get to Barnes & Noble's and get the book How to Live on a Reasonable Budget in New York City, and pretty well and with quality.
Beyond the obvious tourist attractions, there are affordable things to do in your free time.
There are a lot of free activities in New York City. Like the New York City parks have a website, and you can search specifically for free activities, and especially in the nice weather, there are free dance lessons, movies, yoga classes, et cetera, and there's so many.
Definitely buy a city bike membership. It's going to pay off mainly during the spring and summer. You save so much money on transportation.
And also on where you do your shopping.
You can spend a fortune going to a supermarket here. Travel a little bit more. Go to the Bronx, buy in bulk, and supply your house with your shopping elements that you otherwise would be buying next door. This saves a fantastic amount of money.
There are other things that are surprisingly cheap and affordable, like ordering food in. It's very easy to get the proverbial Chinese food from the corner at $10, and it lasts you easily for 2 or 3 meals, unless you're, an American football player and super hungry.
Now let's look at a big stress factor for newcomers, finding a place to live. Obviously, housing is not cheap here.
There's a financial rule of thumb that you're not supposed to spend more than 30% of your income on housing expenses. And in New York City, it's routinely 50%.
So the bottom line, even if you pay a lot, it doesn't mean you live in good conditions. Many people say, I live in a shoebox because it's very small apartments. And sometimes you don't even have a closet. There's no space for the closet. So
New York, unsurprisingly, ranked very poorly, 39th out of 49 cities for housing in our survey. We've got tips to help you navigate your housing search. First, think about how centrally you want to live.
Consider being in Manhattan because everything is easier and closer. And although you spend more money on cost of living, you spend much less money on transportation, and everything is more accessible.
Living further out is, of course, more affordable and has other advantages.
I would encourage people to instead live in a different neighborhood, and you're going to get much more of the flavor of New York City.
There are lots of great neighborhoods across the 5 boroughs.
They have really good prices too, and you can still find good flats, even spacious flats in Washington Heights.
I love where I live in Harlem. Partially because I've been here a long time and I know a lot of people. But for me, it's very important to have parks nearby and to have trees. Within 15 minutes, I'm in Columbus Circle.
So the options now are plentiful. I think you can live in Brooklyn. If you want to go out to like Park Slope, that's a longer commute. That would be about like 45 minutes.
You can also think about going outside the outer boroughs.
But you could also live in Westchester, which is just like a 30 to 40 minute commute. Or you can live across the river in New Jersey, Jersey City or Hoboken. There's a lot of options, and those are very convenient. They even have ferries, so you don't have to take the subway. You could take a ferry when the weather is nice and have a beautiful commute to work.
Here's what the apartment finding process is like.
Finding a place in New York City is kind of a unique process that you can't do it far ahead of time. You can only do it in the month ahead. And it's very competitive. I looked at 21 apartments before I got this one. I lost one apartment because somebody else turned in their application 10 minutes before I did because I was getting the money order.
You can find something on your own, but beware of a few things.
Online, there's a great website called streeteasy.com that a lot of people use, and it's legitimate. There's no scams on there. There are New York City scams that you have to be careful of. Like if an apartment sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And always make sure that you go and you see the apartment and the landlord in person before sending a deposit or any kind of money. Just don't do that. If they say, we'll mail you the key, don't fall for that.
Or you can use a real estate agent.
Be very clear on what you want. Like, this is my max budget. I want to have a kitchen where I can cook, or that might not matter. I want to be close to these subway lines, etc. Like, have your need to haves and your nice to haves. Be very clear on those two.
It would be great if you already had a job so you can show pay stubs to show that you can afford the rent. That's very important. Also, know your credit score, although I guess if you're coming from abroad, you might not have a credit score yet, but have references if possible. And you will need, I think, at least 10,000 right up front, because you will need security deposit, well, application fees, you'll need a security deposit, you'll need sometimes first and last month's rent.
And now onto something more fun, building your social life and making friends in New York. It's not always easy.
So because it's so big and anonymous, it does really take a lot of effort to get into the groove of life in New York and to find your network.
However, our survey shows that compared to other cities, New York is not too bad in this area, ranking 19th for ease of settling in. So how can you not only meet people and network, but also feel like you're part of a community?
I would definitely recommend joining InterNations or similar, because New York City, I think, was the city that I found it the hardest to build community. And InterNations is a great shortcut to finding friendships, because you're going to have people who naturally trend towards being curious of the world, of other people, etc., and have some diverse experiences.
InterNations has both large and small events of all different kinds.
So my first club activity was biking to the botanical garden with 20 people that I had never seen before. And throughout the day, you get really close to them. I found very good friends. The big events are a great introduction, but the special relationships come when you meet people on the smaller events that have the same interests as you.
Click the link in the description if you want to join InterNations and meet international people. There's definitely a lot to keep in mind when it comes to life in the Big Apple. So what's the bottom line?
So if you do have an opportunity to come to New York for a period of time, absolutely do it. If you're considering moving here for good, then I would say take time to evaluate what kind of day-by-day life you'd have here compared to what you already have, because it's a big decision.
Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Thanks so much to our members for sharing their perspectives. And thank you for watching. See you in the next city.